My character Sarah in Esther's Diary she's a very complicated person, and she's struggled her entire life basically to figure out how she fits into the world. She's extremely successful and has a successful career as an architect, but I think internally she's lost and alone, and she just desperately wants to find herself. Sorry. My mom left me her diary. It's something she kept as a young girl during the war and after. I don't get it. She couldn't answer a question on anything. Everything was guarded. She kept a lock on everything. The last thing in the world I want to read is a book about my mother's life. I think at this point in her life, things became so unmanageable, and I think there was such denial that she had to look inside herself and start seeking out some answers from others. I think she needed to find forgiveness in herself and with her mother, who's no longer there, but I think she really needed to get to that point.
The part of Apollonia I thought was the most important part for the picture. I was very happy when I saw audition from Julie Erickson.
Well, my character is actually the central part of what she's writing about. Because Esther writes about our friendship and us being together and what happens, and then she goes on after the war when I don't know anything about it.
Sarah's searching for Apollonia was a way for her to connect to her mother and just to get answers to questions that were never asked or answered, and to find out why she is the person that she is today.
Everyone has done something in their childhood, in their adolescence, that they regret.
I loved Esther. And I loved that she was living in my cellar. And I could visit anytime I wanted.
Did you know what happened? Did you?
In our film, the coming together, the realizing it, but again, to realize that it wasn't her fault.
It wasn't you, Mother. You loved Esther. You loved her. I've carried her around with me all these years in here. I missed her so much. And when I saw her daughter, I saw her.
And when she vocalizes it and talks about it with her daughter, then they're able to come together. But you have to talk.
The challenge that I feel I had most in working in this film was making sure that that connection was established between my character, Clayton, and Maria. It was fun doing that. It was quite fun doing that because she was so open and so giving as an actress. It is so often that you work with actors and the vibe, if you will, is very closed in terms of their introspection on their own character and their own role and their own lines. She was not like that. I found it very open in terms of her giving me a wonderful canvas, if you will, on which to paint my dialogue in helping her character to understand who her character was.
Oh, I will definitely be there.
Why do I talk to you?
Because I'm the only one that really listens.
I think Clayton was probably truly the one time in her day that she was able to just really relax and just take a deep breath.
You know, to actually see it, to see how the film turns out and the connections between the characters and how strong they become and how interconnected it is, it was really something amazing to see come together.
We took a look at the film and we realized somewhere along the line that we could take the story of the diary, which was an integral part of the first film, but it wasn't really explored on film. So we decided to intersperse this wonderful footage that we had of this little girl who was running through the forest. Beautiful footage, she's crying, you know, it was really haunting, and we decided to use that and kind of build the story and weave the story around it.
That's when I realized I did not know where I was or where I was going. I stopped running and just started wandering around in a daze. I was alone and lost in the forest.
It seems that Esther was a survivor of the Holocaust. And the diary tells the story of her imprisonment or captivity. And she kept a diary maybe because that's the only way she could express it. She couldn't really talk about it.
I tried to run away, but I fell. Before I could get up, the soldier grabbed me from behind. That day, I became the only survivor of my family.
In the diary, which she leaves to her daughter, who is concerned because her mother is not very passionate and warm, and I understand they didn't have a real close relationship. And after she reads the diary, she can understand why. Because to survive something like that, you have to just turn off the emotions. You have to be controlled, or you'd never get through it. Never.
We were expected to live on starvation rations in unspeakable conditions with poor sanitation.
By using archival footage and going back and exploring what Esther actually went through when she was a little girl and what was in her diary, we were able to kind of open the story up and let it breathe a little bit. And Mark really liked the idea of doing that. And we made it a story that's a little bit more visual as well. The footage basically allowed us to go back into the diary. So now we see the character of Sarah sitting down and reading this diary, and then we go into these vignettes, and it's beautiful. It works really, really well, and it gave us kind of a jumping off point to start opening the story up a little bit so that we were able to have more of a flow to it.
This film is for people who wants to know and who don't deny about something what is such an important part of our history, about Holocaust. People who understand these things happened and we need to learn about this, we need to study, we need to know more, so maybe in the future we will avoid this.